Picture this. You're about to give a big presentation, and suddenly your stomach does that thing. You know, that acrobatic flip that makes you feel like you're riding an emotional roller coaster while simultaneously wanting to sprint to the nearest bathroom? Well, congratulations. You just experienced your gut literally hijacking your brain's emotional control center. And spoiler alert, that's just the appetizer to today's main course of mind-bending revelations. So buckle up, because we're about to take a journey through your digestive tract that's going to leave you both fascinated and slightly disturbed. Let's get weird with science. Number 1. Your gut produces 90% of your body's serotonin. Here's your first reality check. That happy chemical, serotonin, that everyone talks about? Yeah, your brain isn't the star of that show. Your gut bacteria are literally manufacturing 90% of your body's serotonin, which means your intestines are basically running an underground pharmaceutical operation that would make any drug dealer jealous. Those tiny microbes down there are like little chemists with lab coats, mixing up your daily dose of happiness while you're up here thinking you're sad because of your job or your ex. Plot twist, maybe you're sad because you had that gas station sushi last week and your gut bacteria are staging a revolt. But wait, it gets weirder. Number 2, your vagus nerve is the ultimate gossip highway. Meet the vagus nerve, the major neural connection between gut and brain that's basically the biological equivalent of that friend who can't keep a secret. This nerve is constantly tattling to your brain about everything going on in your gut, like some kind of internal TMZ reporter. When your gut bacteria get chatty, they send signals up this nerve faster than you can say emotional breakdown, and suddenly you're feeling anxious, sad, or irrationally angry at people who chew too loudly. The vagus nerve literally carries these microbial messages straight to your brainstem, making your emotions hostage to whatever bacterial soap opera is playing out in your intestines. Speaking of bacterial drama, let's talk about their favorite mind games. Number 3. Stressed gut bacteria create stressed humans. Here's where things get properly dystopian. Dysbiosis and inflammation of the gut have been linked to causing several mental illnesses, including anxiety and depression. Your gut bacteria are basically tiny mood dictators, and when they're not happy, nobody's happy. Recent research shows that people who are more resilient to stress have microbiome activity linked to reduced inflammation and improved gut barrier integrity. Translation, your emotional stability might literally depend on keeping your microscopic tenants satisfied. It's like being a landlord, except your tenants live inside you and control whether you cry during dog food commercials. But here's where it gets really personal. Number 4. Your gut bacteria choose your cravings. Ever wonder why you suddenly need that chocolate bar at 3 p.m. or why you're inexplicably craving pickles at midnight? Surprise! Gut microbes produce neurotransmitters, hormones, and metabolites that can affect our emotions, thought processes, and behaviors, including what you desperately want to shove in your mouth. Your gut bacteria are basically running a 24/7 restaurant recommendation service, except they're biased toward foods that help them thrive. Those sugar cravings? That's not you being weak-willed. That's billions of tiny organisms staging a coordinated campaign for their favorite food. You're not choosing that donut. The donut is choosing you through bacterial peer pressure. And if you think that's manipulative, wait until you hear what they do to your relationships. Number 5. Your microbiome influences who you trust. UCLA research has found that resilient people exhibit neural activity in brain regions associated with improved cognition and regulation of emotions, and the same group also exhibited gut microbiome activity that affects how they process social situations. Your gut microbiome are literally sitting at the table during every first date, job interview, and family dinner, whispering their opinions about whether these people are worth your time. Irritation in the gastrointestinal system may send signals to the central nervous system that trigger mood changes, which means that sketchy feeling you get about someone might actually be your gut microbiome throwing up red flags. Your intuition? More like your intestinal committee voting on social acceptability. But the manipulation doesn't stop at social situations. Number 6, depression might start in your digestive tract. Plot twist that would make M. Night Shyamalan jealous. Several mood disorders, such as anxiety, depression, and autism spectrum disorders, now have well-established links to functional GI disruptions. Your therapist might need to start asking about your bowel movements alongside your childhood trauma. Increasing evidence has associated gut microbiota to both gastrointestinal and extragastrointestinal diseases, with dysbiosis linked to mental illnesses. So that existential dread you feel on Monday mornings might not be about your job, it might be about last week's questionable food choices finally catching up with your emotional state. And speaking of catching up, your gut has perfect timing. 7. Your gut bacteria have their own daily schedule. Your microbes don't just randomly mess with your emotions, they're organized about it. The gut and the CNS are closely related in a bidirectional pathway, with a balanced gut microbiome essential for regular brain activities and emotional responses. These bacteria have circadian rhythms just like you do, which means they're essentially working shifts to control different aspects of your mood throughout the day. Morning anxiety? That might be the day shift clocking in. Evening depression? Night crew taking over. Your emotions aren't random. They're following a bacterial schedule you never agreed to. It's like having roommates who never asked permission to move in, and now they're controlling the thermostat of your feelings. But they're not just controlling when you feel things. 8. Your gut decides how intensely you feel everything. Gut bacteria produce and consume mammalian neurotransmitters, including dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA. They're not just making these chemicals, they're also eating them, which means they're literally controlling both the production and consumption of your emotional fuel. Imagine if your emotions were a car, and your gut bacteria were both the gas station attendants and the people siphoning fuel from your tank. They decide whether you get premium emotional stability or if you're running on emotional fumes. That overwhelming joy or crushing sadness, your gut microbes are essentially working as emotional DJs, turning the volume up and down on your feelings without asking. And their playlist preferences are interesting. 9. Antibiotics are emotional weapons of mass destruction. Every time you take antibiotics, you're basically dropping an atomic bomb on your gut microbiome, and your emotions are the collateral damage. Neurotransmitters that are produced either directly or indirectly by gut bacteria have the potential to influence emotional behavior. So when you kill off bacteria, you're also killing off your emotional support system. Post-antibiotic emotional chaos isn't just a coincidence, it's a predictable biological consequence. You're literally experiencing the emotional aftermath of a microbial genocide. No wonder you feel like an emotional zombie after that Z-Pack. Your gut's emotional production factory just got shut down, and your feelings are on back order. But here's the really twisted part. 10. Your gut bacteria remember your traumas. The gut microbiome is now thought to influence almost all other organs, ranging from the brain to the reproductive systems, with gut microbiome, metabolites, hormones, and biological sex also influencing mental health. Your bacteria don't just react to your current stress, they're keeping a biological diary of every emotional crisis you've ever had. Chronic stress literally reshapes your gut microbiome, and that new bacterial composition keeps sending "remember when everything was terrible" signals to your brain long after the actual crisis has passed. Your gut bacteria are like that friend who brings up your embarrassing moments from high school, except they're doing it chemically, and they live inside you, and you can't unfriend them. And they're surprisingly good at pattern recognition. Number 11. Your microbiome predicts your mental health better than you do. The gut microbiota has a clear impact on neurotransmitters, including serotonin, dopamine, GABA, and glutamate, which means scientists can literally predict your mental health by looking at what's living in your intestines. Your gut bacteria are basically fortune tellers, except instead of reading palms, they're reading your digestive tract and predicting your next emotional breakdown. This is both terrifying and oddly comforting. Terrifying because you have less control than you thought, but comforting because at least there's a scientific explanation for why you randomly burst into tears during dog videos. Your emotional instability isn't a character flaw, it's a bacterial imbalance. And for our final mind bender, number 12. You can literally transplant emotions. Here's the ultimate plot twist. Fecal microbiome transplants, yes, that's exactly what it sounds like, can transfer emotional states from one person to another. Research shows that transferring gut microbiota from chronically stressed mice induces rapid activation of the vagus nerve and changes in neurotransmitter pathways. We're essentially one step away from being able to cure depression with someone else's poop. Think about it. You could theoretically get a happiness transplant from that annoyingly optimistic friend who's always posting sunrise photos on Instagram. Science fiction is becoming science fact, and it's happening in your digestive system. That's all for today. I'll be making more videos like this, so subscribe if you don't want to miss them.